Welcome to Puzzle with Emilia. That's me, and today's video is the one you all been waiting for. How to prepare for the World Jigsaw Puzzle Championship. And this is indeed the continuation video to my previous how to practice for the World Jigsaw Puzzle video. So make sure that you have also watched that one. And did you hear the big news yet? Alfonso Osorio, who I don't know what his title is, but I know he runs the office, so I'm gonna call him the director of the World Jigsaw Puzzle Federation, sent me an email because he saw my video and he was impressed with my verbatim, completely different approach to what he's seen so far. And as said, he sent me an email, such a supportive guy, such a nice guy, and he also invited me as a commentator for the world's official live streaming. I am beyond excited about that. Anyway, today I will have you 3 more tips, more preparation wise, because we are only less than a month away from the competition. And then I will also share some valid points. You viewers commented on my previous video, some comments from the email discussion with Alfonso I had. And then I'm gonna shortly answer all kind of questions you sent me here on social media about strategy, tips. I mean, there was plenty of really good questions. I thank you for that. But let's get this party started. In theory, assembling a puzzle is very simple. You just put pieces together. So what actually makes your time longer is the moments of those kind of like getting stuck or not knowing what to do. You know, it can be like the micro moments of seconds, or it can be like minutes of like being completely lost with the puzzle. I don't know what to do, honestly. So we all want to avoid those moments to make our puzzling time shorter, or at least avoid those moments for the very last stages of your puzzle process. Or in the best case scenario, just flow throughout the whole puzzle process until you finish it. But how to do this? You must have a default strategy. And if you're not like, wait, what? I mean, we don't even know what the puzzle is going to be like. Then, well, you know what? You're absolutely right. Because different kind of puzzles require different kind of strategies. Choosing the right strategy is also based on your personal weaknesses and strengths, which again depends on the puzzle. But to be exact, puzzling is like playing chess, you know, for the beginning, middle game, end game. So it's more like a combination of different kind of strategies, and you can combine multiple during making the puzzle. And as we very well know, 2 different people can use different strategies and still finish the same puzzle at the same time. So there is no right and wrong specifically on choosing a strategy. But hear me out. Having a default strategy will actually help you to avoid getting stuck or not knowing what to do. This is something you do with the psychological terms like with the psychological terms like decision fatigue, choice overload, cognitive energy. It's needless to say that making a puzzle requires a lot of like your cognitive skills and energy, such as focus, memory, decision making. So for example, with the choices, or in this case, choosing a strategy, the more options we have, the less likely we're actually gonna make a good decision or decision at all. I work in marketing, and this is very known fact, backed up by science, that the more options we give, the less likely people are gonna buy. But if you limit your options to just few, then people are gonna buy all your stuff. So this also, you may have seen this if you bought already your flight tickets to Spain or you chose your hotel room. Good companies actually usually have this one highlighted option. So you could thought your default strategy as that one highlighted option that you can always go to if you don't know what to do. So have a default strategy planned beforehand. If you're still wondering what do I exactly mean, for example, my personal default strategy is that I start flipping right away the pieces and don't do any sorting. Then I start doing sections usually by color, and I always look for the pieces for 2 different sections at the one time. And then I usually start, it's kind of like this halfway of shape shorting towards the end when I usually know that I will get stuck. And so that's my default strategy in a nutshell, but your default strategy is something for you. So don't just take, for example, my default strategy, make what works the best for you as a default. And default strategy doesn't mean that you could not use any other strategies when you actually see the puzzle. You can throw out your whole default strategy up in the air or any part of it and go with the strategies you see fit the best for the puzzle. However, the only point kind of the default strategy is that you won't get stuck with the decision making. You can't get, because you already made the decisions beforehand, and that's the key. Make this default plan, go it through your head before. So you don't get this moment of like, okay, what am I gonna do? Because while you even think like, is there a better strategy? Just follow the default strategy you already have. And if you come up during that with something better, then switch. But don't like, stop and be like, what should I do? Because that's gonna take up your time. This is something that many people point out. And I'm gonna have like 2 viewpoints for this. During the competition, and when you're still practicing. During a competition, it's quite like a natural habit to peek, or at least have the desire to want to peek how the others are doing. But I recommend to try to avoid this, because it will actually take up your time and your focus from doing your own puzzle. And some of you may say that, seeing somebody being ahead of you will give you that push to be even faster. But believe me when I say that that effect, might be real, but it's so minor that considering the time that it will take you to be like this, then it's kind of like a ±0. But what about comparing ourselves while we're still practicing? I mean, this is a little bit trickier because it kind of depends on the person. My first question to you would be, does it make you feel good or neutral when you compare yourself to others, or does it make you feel bad? And my second question would be, does it make you faster or have more motivation to compare yourself to others, or does it actually make you slower and maybe even feel a little bit discouraged? Because if it actually makes you slower, then obviously there is no point. Don't do it. And even if it would make you faster somehow, but it also makes you feel like crap, then I would seriously consider if it's worth it, because this is supposed to be fun. But if comparing indeed is for you, then my recommendation would be that you have to know who to compare to. So you should set your goals to be faster than someone who is a little bit above your level. So for example, if I would compare myself with the puzzles I do every time with Alejandro's time, then I would just set up myself for failure every time, because he's not a little bit above my level, he's a little bit more, okay? And of course, then there's also the other side of it. I always like to say that if you're smartest in the room, you're in the wrong room, because there's also no point to compare yourself to others who you already know that are not as fast as you. And whether comparing is for you or not, this is for everybody. I always recommend to compare yourself to yourself. And how to do this, of course, you can be tracking your total times and your BPM, etc., development with that. But one recommendation I have is to actually film yourself when you do the puzzle. It's a little bit tricky to do a puzzle and then afterwards analyze that, what mistakes did I do or what could have I done better. But when you kind of take it that you're looking from the outside and you're looking at yourself from the video, I can guarantee you that there will be some aha moments. This is more about general preparations like choosing the right clothes, putting your long hair on ponytail, using the restroom before the competition starts. And if you're now like really boring, boo-hoo, then please give me 1 second to make my point. Because the closer you were to achieve something but didn't, the more it will bother you. We humans were fantastic this way of thinking of if I would have. So I'll give you an example. Let's say that during the competition you had your long hair open or loose t-shirt that picks up some pieces and put them on the floor, and you're gonna lose just, it's minor. You're gonna lose a few, maybe 10 seconds. And then afterwards you find out that you missed your spot in semifinals or even finals by 5 seconds. You probably got my point. Like, don't take this too seriously. But also, like, this whole world thing is very big thing for most. And especially for us who are coming all the way from abroad to compete. So even if you're not really a competitive person, don't let those small things get on your way. Even if you're thinking right now that, you know what, probably I won't make it to the next round. But here's the thing, you may surprise yourself and do even better than was imagined. They say that success occurs when an opportunity meets preparations. So your opportunity might be just right around the corner. In addition to like these kind of general preparations, I would do also some mental preparations. For example, if you know already that you have a bad habit that you leave some pieces behind in that plastic bag, then just make a decision, like conscious decision beforehand, that you will check the plastic bag extra good when the competition starts, and before you throw it up in the air and lose it forever, and then in the end you're gonna be looking for that last piece that it's missing. Or if you're like me, I have this major bad habit that on the later stages of doing the puzzle, I have a lot of like these easy looking pieces that I just keep picking up. I don't know where they go. I put them back and then I pick them up again and still don't know where they go. So I just should put them on the other side separately and stop picking them up time after time. Please remember to take everything I say more as a grain of salt. Let's not take this too seriously. I don't want anybody to come all the way to Spain and look like they just licked a raw lemon. I mean, let's just all go have fun. And to relate it to that, my last tip would be that 1 week before the competition, the practice is pretty much over. You won't develop, you won't make miracles in 1 week. It's important that this is the moment you go to your puzzle cabinet or pick up from your puzzle shelf the easiest puzzles or the puzzles that you feel the most comfortable with. You know that you have the fastest time, you probably have done them beforehand. Do those, set your mind, boost your confidence, and set your mood to the success mode. This is very important, so that's a great thing for the last week before the competition. It's time to move on to the comments and questions, and I'm gonna start with the comments from Alfonso in the emails that he sent me, because there are some great valid points. So if you watched my previous video and you were wondering, like, am I saying that the winners of last year are practicing this way? Then I'm not specifically saying that. These are just the kind of like methods. I mean, I'm literally shortcutting because I haven't done puzzles for years. So I need to find another way rather than having experience to develop myself fast and furious. So I have my phone and laptop here because when I reference to other people, I really don't want to get it wrong. So Alfonso had a really great point here. He's saying that many of the top puzzlers have had a great relationship with jigsaw puzzles since their childhood, obviously with smaller puzzles. And you know, they have done them multiple times over and over again. So they kind of already had this practice for the speed. that I was talking previously. And the same goes with the endurance, that people who have had this puzzle hobby for a long time, they're usually actually doing bigger puzzles, 1,000 pieces, even plus. You know, people who haven't even heard about speed puzzling yet. So they kind of also had the experience of doing bigger puzzles for that purpose without actually thinking that, oh, I'm doing this to practice my endurance. And then I think he also had a really good point here that if you've seen Alejandro and Christine assembling, you will have noticed that they have completely opposite styles, but they both have something in common. They both knew how to control their nerves, and while they participated inside, they were completely calm. So that's actually a great point, and more related to this video I'm making about the preparations, because when you're prepared, you are usually more calm. So it's not even about knowing that you're the best, knowing that you're the fast, but when you come there prepared, you have made some decisions beforehand, you got everything together, then you can really just focus on doing your best. Anyway, I hope you're not too tired of my voice yet and my sometimes not so good English pronunciation, because as said, he invited me as a commentator for the World Jigsaw Puzzle Championships live streaming, which will be in English. But let's move on to some fewer comments that I thought made sense. One extremely good point that was in here, that when I was talking about that you don't really know what kind of puzzle it will be, maybe it's that kind of picture you don't really like, but somebody pointed out that what if the puzzle is going to be round shape? So I actually went and bought my first round shape puzzle, because now that I think about it, you don't know. And we've seen Ravensburger actually making a little bit more of these round shape puzzles lately for 500 pieces. So you never know. At least you can practice that. So I think that was a great point. So then let's go for the questions. For example, we have here a question. At the start of the competition, when you first see and open the puzzle, do you spend any time examining the image so that you're familiar with the details, or do you just get started right away and see the details as you go? Please remember that my answers are personal to me. These are not gonna like scientifically proven to be the best tactics or whatsoever. So I'm just gonna answer from my own perspective. I said earlier that when I do speed puzzle, I just start flipping. And I actually do, this is part of these conscious decisions I make beforehand, that when I flip, I do already kind of analyze the pieces as I see them, like what kind of pieces there are. I'm making already the decisions where I'm gonna start. Sometimes I forgot to make this conscious decision beforehand, and I literally just end up flipping them. And then I'm like, okay, what's next? So that was, but I don't really take a separate time to look at the box and the reference image like this without doing at least something else at the same time. If you do look at the reference image quite a lot, then you maybe want to practice of not looking at the reference image that much. For example, I have some mystery puzzles on my to-do list. Just for the purpose that I know that I'm relying too much sometimes on the reference image. Then on the other hand, if you really don't look at the reference image, maybe you want to do at least one puzzle by looking at it a lot. I think this is just my gut feeling that those who don't look at the reference image are more in the trouble maybe in the end of the puzzle, because when there's separate random pieces left, and then you kind of don't know where they go because you don't know what's in the image. But yeah, that's how I do. I don't really have too much to say about this, although I probably already talked 2 minutes about it. Well, anyway, does it help to do puzzle over and over again? My times would significantly get better. I wonder if it's a good training to increase the speed, since you know the puzzle, so you can focus mostly on speed. To me, this kind of makes sense. And as Alfonso also said, that if you did puzzles as a childhood, then you have done probably them multiple times and got faster. I don't know what the heck is wrong with me, because when I do a puzzle and then I do it for the second time, I'm usually not, I might be even slower. So I don't know, it's probably something with me, because when I think this with all my logic that I have, this actually makes sense that you would be faster. Honestly, I don't have too much to comment on this, mainly for the reason that for some odd reason this doesn't work for me. But I mean, if it works for you, you will figure it out by testing it out. So go for it, see what happens. And then we have what strategies are there to tackle a puzzle. I know a few which ones are good depending on the image, I just blah 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 blah. And how to know which strategy is the best for me. I will try to do another video before fully focused on the strategies, because there are so many that if I start talking about now then this video will be like 2 hours and nobody will watch it. So I have to leave that for later, but I will promise to get back with that. And should I also do more bigger puzzles, like 2000 pieces and up, and how frequently? Yeah, I would definitely do those as well. I think this is also like, as I said on the previous video, practice at least those 1000-piece puzzles. I think more the pieces, better practice for the patience and stuff, and durability. But the thing is also that, you know, we all have our lives. Maybe you have kids, busy schedule, work. So obviously those puzzles take also a lot of time. So I think you also need to see if it kind of fits your lifestyle at the moment. But if it fits, then it's all go for it from me. And would it help to complete different kinds of puzzles like escape and 3D puzzles? Well, my answer is gonna be biased because I hate 3D puzzles. I feel they are more like actually building, or what do you call it, crafts. What's the word for it? Well, I don't know, but those are not for me. I personally hate them. What is an escape puzzle? Now I have to Google. Let's Google escape puzzle. Of course, anything that increases your cognitive skills is always good, but I don't think it has like a major effect on your development with the puzzles, especially if it works in a way that it's kind of extra after the puzzle is finished. I'm not really getting this description in the Google, so I'm not 100% sure. And you have been asking me for a lot of different kind of videos, like the strategy video or just showing myself doing a 500-piece puzzle. Those videos are coming. I also have to work because I have to fund my puzzle hobby somehow, so it may take some time. I'm probably gonna put later on some kind of like a poll where you can vote which videos you want the next. So remember to subscribe this channel, and if you're coming for the World Jigsaw Puzzle Championships, please let us know in the comments, because I would love to say hi to you and know already in advance that you're coming. And this is Philip. See you next time.